Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I got a workout in for you guys, and I got my full workout in today. The thing is, we didn't get Brittany on here because she's really fatigued from the extra hurricane volunteer work that she's been doing. She's been doing free haircuts and stuff like that, and she's put in quite a bit of extra work just doing volunteer relief with Hurricane Harvey, and so she's like, I just don't feel like training today. I'm like, well, that's okay, baby. We can train you later. It's fine. You don't have to train. So she just filmed me. Now, I ended up tweaking a trap slightly, I think, on my third set of these overhead presses, and it's partially because I felt tight this morning, and it could be, again, I'm cutting, dieting down, and in fact, I'm surprised. Like, normally when I come in and film workouts the night before, I carb up a little heavier for workouts I'm going to film, and the scale didn't go up at all. The scale didn't go up. So that tells me I'm about to swoosh it by the end of the week. I'm probably going to see a couple pound weight drop all the way down. When I get a swoosh, I'll go ahead and video it for you guys and put it on Instagram and stuff. But it means the cut's coming along nice. And I did a lot of upper body work this weekend. And again, this is Tuesday, and I guess I'm not fully recovered because I did over 40 chin-ups both Saturday and Sunday. And those are dead hang chin-ups. Keep in mind, guys, I'm over 200 pounds. And so I'm doing those from a dead hang. Pausing at the bottom, getting that deep stretch, and then I think on Saturday I did 5 sets of 10 on strict standing presses instead of my push presses, so a lot of volume, and I think my traps weren't fully recovered. They were a little tight, and on this third set I pulled my right trap a little bit. This is my second set here, and I think it didn't help that I left my cap forward, so I had to push the bar slightly further in front, and I pulled my right trap a little bit, and that absolutely affected my workout this set here. And the set looked good, but I am having to push the bar a little farther forward on the push press part, and it feels like I pulled a trap just a little bit. And I noticed it that on my fourth set, I just quit in the middle because I'm like, I can't press. I'm done. And I was going to do 5 sets of 5 for you guys on camera today, like I did last couple times, and I just didn't have it in me. I didn't have it in me, and that's the difference, guys. Sometimes you got to know when to back down. And the same thing when it came to my deadlift. I got to my deadlift, I'm like, I'm not going to pull 515, 520 for reps. I'm going to do 495. And you know what? I didn't even do 5 reps. I stopped at 4. Why? Because you got to know your limits. You got to check your ego at the door. And 495 for 5 is normally not that difficult for me. That's like RPE 7. But I could feel it in my trap. I felt like my trap was cramping just a little bit. It's fatigued, a slight strain in it. And I realized I don't need to overdo this. Like right there, I just stopped. I felt it in that trap, and I'm like, I'm done. I'm not overhead pressing anymore. And even on the deadlift, the warm-up felt fine. I didn't feel anything on the trap on this 405 warm-up. I pulled 3 easy reps. They were easy, no problem, right? Pulled them nice and clean. And it was easy. You know, that was nothing. Felt like an easy warm-up, almost like an empty bar. And that's usually what 405 feels like for me, because I used to do a lot of accumulation work with this. Like back in January and February, I was coming in and doing like 10 sets with 405. And so, yeah, I mean, to me, it doesn't feel like anything. I'm used to doing high volume with that earlier this year, so not a big deal. So my peak set here, I went for 495, and I'm like, okay, I'll just crank out 5. I got to the 4th rep, and I'm like, I don't know, my trap is feeling it a little bit. I'm not going to risk injuring myself. I've got a trap that feels like it's slightly strained. This is sufficient, because here's the thing, guys. I'm cutting right now. I'm working on a lot of cardio, a lot of conditioning, and at the end of the day, I'm probably not going to gain very much strength. But if I can hold on to the muscle I have, maybe bring up a couple of weak points, and hold on to my strength, then that's a success. You know, if I can lose over the course of this cut 40 or 50 pounds of fat, and I'm almost halfway there, I'm past the 20-pound mark. I'm still getting leaner, even though the scale is kind of stuck for a little while. I'm still getting leaner. I can tell the difference in the way my clothes fit, so it's all good. So I stopped there. It's like, why push it beyond my limits? I did front squats after, but you know what? Front squats, because the lack of trap involvement, they felt easy. They felt really easy. Even my work set, it was easy. I was happy with that, because you know what? Since I started front squatting again, because you guys got to remember, I've squatted over 500 on camera before, raw for you guys. You guys remember that? I've done it on YouTube. While peaking for competition right there in my garage gym. So I quit squatting and I'm like, okay, I need to front squat again. I really need to not lose quad mass because I realize that I'm losing body weight. I'm doing tons of cardio. I don't want to lose mass in my quads. And the front squat will carry over to my push presses and it'll carry over to my deadlift. So I'm going to start doing it again. So I have, and I haven't gotten very strong on it yet, but it's because I started doing it after the cut. And that's to be expected. And after I finish this cut, maybe when I'm down to 200 pounds, I'll go ahead and start pushing the front squat back up, and it's only a matter of time. I'll get it back to 400 plus pounds. But I've got to be patient with those things, guys. I'm not a spring chicken anymore. I'm 40 years old, not blasting a bunch of gear. I've got to know my limits and accept those limits. And so, this one peak set every now and then, I try to do this 2 or 3 times a week. It felt easy. Everything, I'm going nice and deep. Nice and fast. There's a little bit of slowdown right about there, but that's okay. And then it locks out fine. Probably could stand to work on my mobility for the rack, just a little bit more on it, but it felt good. Oh, and up next we did a new exercise. People had asked me when I did a video talking about supinated grip Pendlay rows, was I going to add them to my routine, and I didn't answer. But I had already planned on doing this. I wanted to try them out. I'm going to have to do some videos on these because I'm going to say the difference in gripping. This was my first set, by the way. I went straight to this. I've never done this exercise with an underhand grip before, and I just went straight to 2 plates. It was different. Definitely no secret me squeezing my hands. Gripping it with that underhand grip, it's definitely harder on the grip, but that's okay because this will improve my grip strength. Now that I've tried it and I've done 3 sets of it, I can honestly say I feel it in my biceps more. And let's be honest here, I could use more bicep. I do a lot of chin-ups, but a second compound that hits the biceps really hard probably wouldn't be a bad idea for bringing up that weak point. I don't care about aesthetics really, but aesthetics could affect my YouTube income. So I think we all agree I could use a little more arm. Lose another 20 pounds. Add a ½ inch to my arms. Wouldn't be a bad thing, would it? I don't think so. But having done these, I can truthfully say they feel different. They feel different. And it's not like a strain. I don't feel like I'm going to tear a bicep or anything ridiculous like that. But having looked at what people are doing with this, with coaches recently, the logic behind why they're doing it, look into biomechanics of it, it makes sense. So, I'll talk about that more in a minute. I'll throw in those sets and go back to talking about that to finish this video up. But on to crunches. You guys know I do standing crunches. So you guys can see my back there. I have a little bit of lat. A little bit. Why standing crunches? Because it carries over to your squat, your deadlift, and your overhead press. It's like I always talk about with different things, specificity of training. I want my core to never, ever, ever be a weak link on any of my big compound movements. So I try to use a stance that's similar to my overhead pressing and my deadlifting, right? I do them standing and I drive through the heels. Now, a lot of people will be like, well, you're using a long range of motion. That's working more than your abs. It's working all sorts of stuff, even your hip flexors. That's right, it is. Because why would I want my hip flexors to be a weakness? If I can engage my abs and my core at the same time I'm working my hip flexors, that carries over to a better deadlift, a better push press, a better front squat. So of course, why wouldn't I do that? It's beneficial. Specificity of training, guys. Specificity of training. That's what it's all about. All right, and now that we're finishing this up, I did a lot of reps, like what, 50? I didn't count. I just did it till it burned. And I always do 1 set of abs. I do 1 set of abs at the end of every workout, if possible, if I have access to cables or bands or whatever. And I tend to do just laying crunches sometimes at home. I do planks at home sometimes, just between other stuff, because I do chin-ups almost every day at home. So, it's keeping your core developed. But, sorry guys, back on to the Pendlay rows. Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. And when I look at it, I'm getting all the other benefits of a Pendlay row, all the back development, all the carryover to the deadlift, but you're getting additional bicep stimulation. Now, people say, well, who cares about extra bicep stimulation even for strength athletes? Well, I've talked about that a lot in the past. You want to know what I think causes bicep tears on the deadlift? I think part of it is not having flexible enough and strong enough biceps. I think that's a big factor. I think doing those reverse grip Pendlay rows, doing them supinated, might help prevent bicep tears, and you're going to get a little bit of bicep as an extra bonus. It makes sense. It makes sense. So I'll probably do some more videos covering the exercise and the different benefits of it again now that I'm doing it, utilizing it myself. It's fairly new. We're seeing it being promoted in certain strength circles, and it makes a lot of sense. So yeah, I'm going to do it because it seems to be a valuable exercise. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.